jellyfish.
Not the jellyfish. All right. We are live with 20 million viewers already.
Ooh,
I know, it's
nice.
crazy.
That's
They're all
awesome.
here.
Yep.
Let me just make sure that people can hear what's going on.
Yeah, like an audio check.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Great. Nice, nice. All right, cool. So how's it going? How's your day?
It's been good. I had class 9:30 to 11, and then I had a quiz section from 11 to noon, and then I had class at 2:30, I think. Yeah,
Oh,
but
nice.
it's honestly not too bad. The quiz section, I just finished the quiz online in like 5 minutes. It was the first quiz that the professor assigned us since quarantining began, so it was like a pretty easy true or false math quiz, which
Oh,
is
that's good.
fine by me.
Okay. You're a math major, right?
I am double major math and PPL,
Oh, what is that? What is PPL?
philosophy, politics, and law.
Oh, that's super cool. Okay.
Yeah,
Why'd you choose that?
cause well, I mean, I want to go to law school, so that's what I was told is a good major to do. I mean, it's not necessarily that I have to do that either, just because for law school, you can really have any major you want, and then you can just go into law school afterward as long as you've been getting involved, having a good GPA, get a good LSAT score. It doesn't really matter what you study, but I guess PPL it's interesting enough, so I stick around in it.
Okay,
And I
cool.
guess I do math because I really like math. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, incredible. Um, Also, video games. That's generally the topic of this
Yes,
stream.
I
Um,
do like video games.
oh, cool. Okay, sweet. That's good to know. Glad we're
Yeah.
starting off on the right foot. How did you get into video games? How did you start that whole process?
Wow, when did I start? That's an amazing question because I have an older brother, right?
Hmm.
He's 4 years older than me. I was born in 2000. When I first started like becoming aware of like my surroundings as like a child, sort of gaining consciousness,
Right.
like the GameCube had come out like I think a few years before. So like starting to like 2004, 2005 ish, like just before the Wii craze first like hit like the world, like the GameCube was still a thing, and our family's been a big like set of Nintendo fanboys. So I saw the GameCube. I saw my brother playing, Super Mario Sunshine, Super Smash Bros. Melee, especially Melee, actually, yeah.
Hmm.
And then I was like, wow, video games are cool. And so I just watched my brother play all the time because he didn't want to let me play. But it did let me have an appreciation. It gave me an appreciation for video games. And then when he wasn't around, I would play with them myself. So I think that's how it all started back when I was 4 or 5.
That's pretty early.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just never stopped playing.
And was that like a continuous thing throughout like the rest of your life? Like, did you have any like ebbs and flows in your video game playing, or was it pretty consistent?
I would say it's very consistent. The one thing that was an ebb and flow is what I actually played.
Hmm.
So definitely early childhood, it was mostly Nintendo with the GameCube, and even to some extent when the Wii came out. I would say there was a shift starting like in middle school where I had an Xbox 360 and had Xbox Live, and Call of Duty was all the rage back then. COD 4 had just come out. Then it was Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops, and those were like the real like titans,
Right.
I would
Yeah.
say,
Of
of
course.
gaming, like in that time era. And so during that time, it was mostly Xbox, and I played very little Nintendo. And then going into like the 2014, like high school, I started playing a lot more PC games, and so it was that sort of flow. And at that time, both consoles, or I guess Microsoft Xbox One wasn't doing so hot, but I had one, but it wasn't doing so hot. And the Wii U was also not doing so hot, and Smash hadn't come out until 2014, I think.
Hmm.
So in that early, like late middle school, early high school period, like it was a lot of PC games, and then eventually I made my way back to Nintendo. And like when the Switch came out in 2017, and still mostly play Nintendo games, I would say.
Right. So I guess why did Smash kind of, because you seem to be big Smash guy at this point.
Yeah,
Why
I would.
Smash?
Why Smash? Because, well, it's definitely has to do with childhood to some extent, just because Like some of my earliest memories are like my brother and I playing Melee, as in like way back in like 2004, like I said. But Smash also is really interesting in that it's a fighting game that's very intuitive, I would say. Like mechanically speaking, all the like combos and all the stuff that you can do in the game, all the movement options, everything that you can do is so organic because there's no like inputs exactly. Like there are inputs that are like specialized, I guess, but they're all very simplistic. Like you can input an F tilt easily, you can input jabs, you can jump, you can short hop. Like you can learn those things. You can learn how to basically you can master Smash's like basic movements and inputs for every character in like a week or less if you were like trying to just like play casually even like for like maybe an hour a day you'd pick up the input and control options super quickly, but there's a lot of complexity that builds upon it, and that's one of the things I really value about Smash is that it's super like free flowing. Like you can just build things off of each other, like strings. You can string people along, and it's not necessarily obvious to like a new player that you're supposed to be, dragging people down with an aerial and then jab blocking them. Like that's not intuitive per se, but like it is something that you can build naturally without the game sort of leading you on. So mechanically, it's a very fun game and very natural game to play and to master, which is why I think a lot of competitive people find its appeal. And also from a casual standpoint, like Nintendo's iconography and branding is just so strong. Like its characters, like Mario and Link, like these are characters that are like icons of gaming. And even if you don't know much about video games, you see Nintendo's branding, you see their colorful characters, their appeal that's timeless from the 80s till now. Like you can't help but fall in love with these characters, and there's always going to be a character for you that you'll fall in love with when you play Smash.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. What's your
it's
character?
yeah.
What's your main?
My main is Dark Pit. Uh, so I mean, I also play regular Pit sometimes, but Dark Pit's definitely I like Dark Pit more just because there's a slight difference with the arrows. But I actually didn't like Kid Icarus, which is the series that Pit comes from. There's only one game that's come out in the last 30 or 20 years or something
Okay,
for that
wow.
series, Kid Icarus Uprising for the 3DS. So I mean, I do like the characters as like characters, I guess, but I actually didn't pick them up in Ultimate because I liked them as characters. It's because from a gameplay perspective, they're really fun to me. Like they're very all around. They're very average characters,
Hmm.
but there's a lot of cool things you can do, and I feel like they really suit my playstyle very well. And before that, actually, I was a Ganondorf main, uh, just because Ganondorf was really fun. One of my older cousins played Ganondorf a lot back in Melee, but also I really was a big fan of Legend of Zelda, and
Hmm.
so as a Zelda fan who also liked the gameplay of Ganondorf, like I really enjoyed playing Ganondorf for a while. But then I switched off just because I mean, Ganondorf's kind of trash, not gonna lie, but he's still fun. He's still fun, but he is kind of trash. And uh, Pit just as a character, like mechanically spoke to me more, so that's why. But I'm perfectly fine playing Ganondorf like for fun. Like it's when I'm playing against new players, especially. Ganondorf is very good at beating people who do not know how to play the game. Like he'll
Oh,
just
nice. Yeah.
whack you with a big sword and you just die at 30%. It's great. It's lovely. So for that reason, I still play Ganondorf quite a bit, but not for competitive reasons, and it doesn't give me the most satisfaction playing the game itself, personally.
Yeah. So you're also a big commentator. You got into that field. How did that come about?
Yeah, so well, I think my first ever commentary thing that I've ever done was back in high school. We I was an ASB. I was an ASB kid for 4 years. And for those of you who don't know, if you're not from SoCal, because only SoCal uses that acronym, ASB stands for Associate Student Body. It's like a student government kind of thing.
Hmm. Okay.
And my school was we decided that we wanted to run a Smash tournament, and this was back in the Smash 4 days. Like this was in 2015 or something. And then I said, "Oh, great! I can't wait to host a Smash tournament because I really like Smash, and this will be like a good, a lot of fun." And so we needed an MC for the event, and so I figured that the people who are hype who are hype in my high school, like, they're very loud, have a lot of
Right.
energy. They MC like the rallies and stuff. Like they're a good energy, but they don't really know the game very well.
Right.
So I wanted to see if I could do it. And so I sort of emceed the whole event. Like I announced, it was sort of like commentary and TOing or tournament organizing at the same time. Like I would
Hmm.
call matches while also talking about what was happening on the projector screen. And I was just rambling on for basically 5 hours that evening from like 5 p.m. I think that's when it started to like 10 or 11, something like that. But it was a lot of fun. I mean, I had a sore throat the day after, but it was a lot of fun. And then I realized, oh, maybe I actually like this commentary thing. And I've noticed in general, like before that, that whenever I play like team-based games, I'm already very vocal when I
Hmm.
play. Like I talk a lot to my teammates or even to myself. So it wasn't a big stretch to go from like talking in comms to commentary.
Interesting. Okay.
And when I came to USC, that just sort of carried over. Like I just said to the guys, "Hey, mind if I hop on the mic?" And they said, "Sure." And so I just commentate pretty
That
much
makes sense. Commentary
most of
always
the
seems super hard for me because I've never really tried doing it, but I always feel like I wouldn't know what to concentrate on. So like, how do you figure out what to talk about without like, I don't know, getting in the way of the actual game, you know?
Yeah, so it's actually there's two styles, there's two schools of commentary that you need both of to have a successful cast, in my opinion. There's the color commentator, which is the analytical or the informative one, the
Hmm.
one who's sort of like talking about, like, I guess from like a more fundamental level, what's happening in the game and breaking down to the viewer what they're seeing, why people did X, Y, or Z, or even judging the players if they make a really stupid decision, or if they're going for things that are suboptimal, calling them out even uh, is important. And so that's one skill set, to be confident in your game knowledge. And the other skill set is called the play-by-play, and that's your more traditional sportscaster, the one who talks really fast, who can probably sing Rap God in
Right.
their
Yeah. Of
sleep,
course.
like just like, oh, and then he's gonna that sort of thing, where it's like you talk like narrate exactly what's happening as if someone was listening to it like as a podcast. Then ideally the color comment or the play-by-play commentator would be able to sort of narrate the game for them. Me personally, I am more of a color commentator. That's just I'm not. I can speak quickly and I can be hype, but generally speaking, I'm not the best at speaking quickly and maintaining like composure with my words and being grammatical. And there's definitely room for both in Smash, especially
Hmm.
like in League of Legends, I would say, which is where I actually watch a lot of commentary. It's more 50, I'd say it's more evenly distributed, the duty. But in Smash, because generally speaking there's constant action, color commentators are expected to keep up with the pace more. And so for that reason, like I'm generally able to keep up. So I could play by play if I tried, but generally speaking I stick to color. And it is a style that I've acquired, which is to sort of keep going with the pace of the game, and being able to break down neutral when things are just being played out like as footsies, uh, or even like when a player is like really going real ham, then being able to break down exactly why they're happening in the moment and
Hmm.
keep up and not dwell on a play for too long. That's another important skill that I feel like I've developed.
What pisses you off the most when you listen to commentary? Like what are your pet peeves?
Oh, when I listen to commentary,
Yeah.
now that's a yeah. Okay, so there's a
Go
lot
off.
of things that actually bother me. The most egregious offender, uh, for new commentators especially, is when they either don't know what to say and that causes them to go silent, or that causes them to talk too much.
I see. Okay.
So one or the other is bad, because when you have like this happens a lot at like I'll watch like locals around LA, or I'll be watching like a VOD for another region where another commentator is like it's not really his fault. Like he's a one man commentator. Like he doesn't have a commentary partner either because their setup doesn't have two mics, or he's the only one who wanted to do it or whatever. But in those situations, if you're not like experienced at solo commentary, then oftentimes you'll hear the person sort of just mumbling to themselves, like only like speaking up when like something really exciting happens,
Hmm.
and otherwise it's very inconsistent. So inconsistencies, I would say, in tempo are probably the biggest pet peeve. Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah. What was your favorite match to cast? Like, if you could look back on maybe one Smash one or anything, you know.
Yeah, yeah. My favorite. I have a definite least favorite, but
Okay, that's good too. That's great
all
too.
right, all right. I do have
Yeah.
a definite least favorite. All right, so USC biweekly number 51,
Wow. Specific.
which yeah, because that was the first. Because so spring of 2018, no, spring of 2019. That was last year. Great. Spring of 2019, the last biweekly was number 50,
Hmm.
and then for the fall of this this academic year was the start of number 51. So that's how I know it's 51. But it was there was two players who are both PR now, power ranked in SoCal, came out to a USC tournament. One of them's name is T3 Dome, now named T3 Dom. He
Oh
actually
right,
goes to
yeah.
UCI. He goes to UCI. He's really good Richter main. For those of you who don't know, Richter is a very good. He's like one of the better zoners in the game. He's very obnoxious to deal with if you don't know what you're doing, and he just has a field day getting strings together. And then there was this other guy who came out. His name was Nito, and he's a very new Smash player. He just started getting into the scene about this time last year, and he plays Shotos, which is mainly Ken and Ryu. So the grand finals, right? Actually, no, it starts in winners finals. It was Nito versus T3 Dom. T3 Dom narrowly loses that set. It goes 3-2, it goes all 5 games, and Nito comes ahead. He's playing Ken. And every single game, I kid you not, is Nito on ledge, trying to get back to ledge. And because Richter has such strong ledge trapping options and has a lot of tools in neutral to just keep Ken, who he was playing at the time, off of him, it just dragged out every single game almost to time, every single time, which is all 7 minutes. And it was extremely close. And all 5 games were like that, but Nito barely edges him out in the end. And he takes winners finals. But then in grands, because T3 Dom, he wins losers finals handily, and then he goes to grands. And it goes to 5 again.
Oh
But in this
god.
time, it was T3 Dom who won. And this whole time, at 5 games, almost max time, excruciatingly painful to watch because essentially Nito would die, or Nito would be on the ledge, and then he would die eventually, and then he would respawn on the angel platform back in the center stage, and then he would kill Dom, or he would kill Dom like right there.
Oh my god.
So it was like excruciatingly painful for a long time, and then boom, they would kill each other, and then it was excruciatingly painfully long for another long time. 5 games of that again.
Oh,
This
jeez.
time Dom wins, and then because in Smash, if the one who came from loser side wins grand finals the first set, then it goes to a second set,
Hmm.
which is like grand finals part 2. And then in that one, it also went to 5 games, excruciatingly long. Like I said, every single game was basically the same, where Nito would be thrown off stage and Dom would hold ledge, and eventually one of them would die. And then when they respawn, they would kill the other. But 5 games of that, and then Dom eventually won. So it was
It's a long
15
game.
games.
Yeah, that's
It
a
was
long
15
time.
games, 15 games long. It
Jesus.
was just excruciatingly
Yeah.
painful, and I also had to do that solo because our stream
Oh.
setup that day
Oh
was
no.
not working very well for some reason, so it only wanted to take in one mic, and so I had to do it solo,
Oh, so your
which I
voice
would
was
not
shot
recommend
by
you
the end
do.
of that. Yeah, that must
Yeah,
be
so my throat was
excruciating.
shot. It was like 12:30, like that was probably one of our later tournaments just
Hmm.
because it had great attendance. So it went late, and then it was 15 games of a very boring matchup.
Ah.
So that was my least favorite set I've ever commentated, but it was definitely something to see.
Oh
If you want
yeah.
to watch the VODs, which I don't recommend you do, but if you do,
I'm
USC
curious now.
Biweekly number 51.
Okay, yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Were you? Did you do the casting for the CSL tournament where who was it? Devender.
Uh,
Devender.
yeah,
He
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
clutched
So
out
that
the win.
CSL, yeah, the one that they all came to USC for.
Yeah.
So I casted.
Oh no, this was at UCLA. This was the UCLA
Oh,
match.
oh, 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 the okay. That wasn't a
The
CSL
crazy
tournament
comeback.
then.
Oh, okay.
The
Oh, it
crazy
was just the
comeback.
line.
No,
Yeah,
I wanted to commentate, but then UCLA said,
they
"No
want to do
worries,
it.
we already have a
Oh,
commentator."
okay, makes sense.
And then
Yeah.
they did have a commentator, but he kind of sucked. Not gonna lie.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
no shade,
Okay.
no shade
All
or
right.
anything, but like
If
he
anyone in
didn't
UCLA,
know he didn't know what
apologies.
he was doing, and he was also just one commentator. Like they didn't have another mic
Hmm.
set up, so he was on his own for the best of three. So
Hmm.
that wasn't his fault, of course, but it wasn't, I would say, the best, but still it was a very crazy comeback. I was sitting there the whole time watching the guys. We were coming up with a plan for the crew battle, who to send out
Right.
next. So that was the crazy comeback.
Yeah, that was a crazy match, man. I remember.
It was
Yeah.
insane. We popped off so hard actually.
Yeah. No, that was the pictures from that were great too. I just wish it
Yeah,
was like a video. I wish someone recorded that. That would have been super fun.
yeah. Unfortunately, there's no video. I don't think there's a VOD of it,
Yeah, there's
but
just a clip. There's like that one
yeah,
clip.
that one clip that Blake saved. But no,
Right.
you're right.
Um, also, Lokesh, I think probably, I'm assuming,
Mhm.
is in the chat right now. Or I don't know if he still is, but he was. And he
Okay.
asks, who is your favorite member of the Smash team?
Who is my
So,
favorite member?
yeah,
Oh man, he's gonna make me pick amongst my children.
absolutely.
Uh, it's hard to say because, I mean, first of all, they're all my boys. I love them all. Uh, Sometimes I know that they can get annoyed with me or ESU for like overhead or
Hmm.
not being quick to respond all the time, but like I love them back. But I'm sure they all appreciate me to some extent. But my
To some extent.
favorite, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, they do. We give them free switches and practice time. Like they should. They like us, of course. They like the relationship. But I guess I don't know if I could say I have a favorite player, but I think my favorite player to watch would definitely be how about this? How about this? Not instead of favorite player to watch, the player that is, in my opinion, the most improved over since I started is this player by the name of Damien.
Hmm.
His username is Shift. He's improved a lot, especially this semester. And I always love it whenever there's like a shakeup in the power rankings at USC, just because it makes me feel like we're getting somewhere. Like progress is being made, players are getting better. They're trying to outdo each other, and someone like Damien, who last fall was number 10th at USC, I think, in this semester. Well, until like it was cut short. I don't know if we're gonna have a PR this semester, but if it were to continue, he's been showing a lot of progress. He could easily be top four USC, and seeing him grow as a player makes me really happy to see, and I'm really excited to see what he'll do. He's not graduating this semester. I think he's graduating next semester, but I'm excited to see how he reps the school. For the last semester of his time, especially since he's gotten so much better. Uh, he's not always the most friendly player to work with. He's a very nice guy, but he definitely has opinions. I would say that much.
Wow.
But he's a great guy, honestly, and I'm very happy to see he's improved so much.
So how is I guess, because you say that you're an ESU, but you're also the manager of the Smash team. Does that ever conflict? Like, do you ever have like, issues that
Uh,
arise in ESU that,
that can't be resolved in
right,
Smash,
right. Or the opposite?
or the opposite. Yeah. I guess it's pretty It's pretty harmonious, I would say. The only issues that arise in Smash, where Smash has a problem with the ESU, is usually a problem with management as a whole.
Hmm.
Like like the big issue was access to the firehouse. I don't know if you know what the firehouse is,
Right.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's the training facility. Yeah, so we've been trying to get our players to practice there for like the better half of a semester, but then we submit the player names and the IDs, and staff has to actually, or the front desk, or I'm not sure, someone in facilities within SCA has to get their ID numbers and give them card access, and et cetera. And sometimes there's technical difficulties with that, and even now some of our players still don't have access. Now no one has access because the firehouse is closed, but it can be a little bit troublesome sometimes. There's so there is some issues there, but I would say that's like a school-wide problem more so than a Smash ESU divide.
Right.
So overall, though, I would say it's pretty good. Like uh, ESU and Smash, like Smash gets what they need from ESU, and in return, ESU gets a team that's high performing, has a lot of engagement, has good social media numbers, especially on Twitter,
Hmm.
and they're always they're always the first to volunteer for events and staffing, so that's very valuable.
Hmm. Um, as a member of ESU, or like as the events director,
Mhm.
so can you just tell me a little bit about, like, first of all, just what you do, your day to day at ESU?
Yeah, so I'm the events director. What that means is that I sort of if we have a event on the horizon, which the answer is usually yes, then I see to it that we're planning. I'm personally planning the logistics, emailing people, running around, making sure that everything leading up to the day of is going according to plan.
Hmm.
And that can be a lot of things. From like if I think back to my last event, which was the Overwatch Carnival. Some of the biggest things that I had to do were lock down a venue, which we eventually did. I had to lock down pizza for the actual food. Um, I had to personally ensure that the that Overwatch was being installed on all of the PCs that we were going to be using for the event. Uh, Basically, yeah, just like not even necessarily like in charge of every single logistical detail, but more so running around making sure that they were being seen to, and then if they needed me, I needed to uh, sort of do it myself. Like for instance, the actual Overwatch accounts that all the PCs had on them, like I manually made every single account
Okay.
myself.
Yeah.
Things like that. Like obviously you don't want to get into the weeds too much. Uh just because if you're getting into the weeds like with a deadline coming up, then that's usually a bad sign that
Right.
you're underprepared. But I mean, leading from leading a team from the front where like you're just charging in to battle yourself, it can have a lot of advantages, I would say. And so there's a lot of different things that you need to attend to, and being the being the last person responsible for something does hold you accountable, and it does mean that you get more involved, I would say,
Hmm.
if that
Um,
makes sense.
yeah, absolutely. It seems also, like, to my understanding of ESU seems to be this conglomerate that oversees like a bunch of independent organizations like Smash, like the Overwatch team, like the varsity team. Um, so what is your guys' purpose? Like, what do you aim to do? Like ESU's like philosophical statement, you know?
If honestly, I wish I knew ESU's
Cool.
philosophical statement. Here's how it was pitched to me, and how Arnold, our director, currently understands it. And I think this is a good mentality to have. ESU's purpose is vaguely to promote esports on campus,
Okay.
but that's such a vague directive that it
Right.
doesn't really mean anything. And ESU doesn't necessarily have a guiding philosophy outside of make cool things happen
Hmm.
related to esports. And that's actually a positive, I would say, when it comes to working for the org, just because uh, when you sort of are in an environment where not nothing is set in stone, but like positions are malleable, goals can be changed depending on what you personally see as beneficial for the org. It's really it's really good to actually have like a very like a loose sort of game plan in the long run. Just because if you come into this org and you have a vision to do something and you want to make it happen, say your goal is I want to put on a gaming event and then I want to have 400 people show up. I don't know,
Right.
some goal, and you want it to be you're a big fan of Nintendo in general, like I am, and then you're gonna say, okay, using ESU power and funds, I want to make a really cool esports related event surrounding Smash and the Nintendo IPs, and we're gonna have a big celebration
Hmm.
for it, and we're gonna get a ton of people to show up, and it's gonna be great, and sponsors are gonna see it, and we're gonna get more money to do cool things. If you have that vision, great. Then you can run with that vision, pitch that vision, and you can make it. And if you have the legwork, do the legwork to make it happen, and you have the ambition to make it happen, then it will happen. Like the Overwatch Carnival, like it wasn't necessarily that I was told to make the Overwatch Carnival. I was told make an Overwatch themed event because we want to drum up interest in Overwatch. And so I said, okay, well, what can I do with this? And then I sort of had the vision, a carnival-esque format sounds really cool. So then I made it with the hope that if it was successful, then I could use this as leverage to make something else cool in the future that was more up to my speed. Because I like Overwatch, but Smash is really my game, right? So
Right.
I want to make something Nintendo themed in the future. Well, I already have this under my belt, and I already have enough credibility built up that I can now make this my vision, and I can make this happen now, and I can execute upon it. So, like taking that sort of initiative for yourself and making cool things happen with it as you dream it up. That's really the mission statement of the ESU
So
more than anything else.
do you see ESU as more of like a, like you said, like a vessel for people to expand upon their own ideas rather than like a body that creates the culture?
It is to some extent a body that creates a culture, just because you'll, even if you are a really ambitious individual and you step into ESU hoping to make something happen, granted, if you're strong-willed enough, you can do it. But there is going to be other people you work with. There is going to be a culture of people there who have their own ideas, and then you'll work together as a team, obviously, to reconcile that. But it definitely is a vessel, in the sense that if you have an idea and you want to see it work, and you get enough people on your side to make it happen, and you have enough people working with you to achieve that dream, then yeah, you can make it happen. And that's really the beautiful thing about ESU, is that it's really all about what we make of it as students. And if you want to get involved and like make some dream of yours happen related to gaming, and you want it to be really cool, then if with enough hard work and getting people on your side and pitching it to other people, yeah, it'll happen.
People do
It's really nice.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. People do complain about ESU though. I have like heard people being annoyed or like they're fed up. I'm not going to name names just because I don't want to do that. But
I probably know who you're talking about, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I just people say that ESU is slow, or they don't, like go through with their promises, kind of thing. Like the funds don't come when they need to come, or some kind of thing. Why do you think that is? Why would people think that?
So ESU, even though, like I said, it is, a vessel for people to make what they want to happen, it is still part of USC bureaucracy at the end of the day. And like, for example, in the Smash team, like we were told that we should find a coach and then get him on board so that we could have, a proper coach for Smash. Because basically the directive was to have all of the varsity teams have a coach by next year. So we found a coach. He was really cool. But then we couldn't pay him because we didn't have enough funds at the exact moment that we wanted to have him. And so we had to just say, well, sorry, we're going to have to let you go now. And that was a big point of contention among the Smash team. They were very upset about that and upset with ESU for a hot minute about it. But at the end of the day, it is still an organization, even though it seems like we have like a ton of money, and we do have a decent amount of funds, and we are very appreciative of our sponsors. At the end of the day, we don't have infinite power to do whatever we want. You sort of have to build that up from the ground up, and ESU as a bureaucracy can be slow just because communication among students, I'm sure like the Corona situation is really highlighting this, where communication can slow when people have less incentive to meet with each other in person. And because ESU is right now like a confederation of different factions with like a central nerve, it can be sometimes difficult to amass all those resources and put them to proper use for everyone immediately. And so for that reason, I can definitely see why some people would be fed up with ESU in that regard. But at the end of the day, I think it is more beneficial than it's not.
Okay.
And once we grow it out even more and we get, make more cool events to impress the sponsors, to get more funding, to make more events, to make to impress sponsors to get more funding, and eventually we'll just be as strong as UCI is, for instance, and we'll
Hmm.
have our own facilities, proper facilities, an internet cafe, the whole 9 yards, and we'll be making money that way. Then eventually all of our dreams will be able to come true.
What do you think needs
And
to happen to get there, to get to that UCI level of, you know,
well,
powerhouse?
well, okay. I don't know how much I should say about that, but
As much as
I
you
would
want, man.
definitely. Yeah, yeah, no. You're a journalist. I understand. You got to get the answers,
Right.
right? So what needs to happen is institutionally, USC is very bogged down with bureaucracy.
Hmm.
Like for our cool events that you saw at Conquest or Overwatch Carnival, there's a lot of red tape in the way to sort of make these things happen. And it's not just in events sector either. Like that's my area of specialty, but there's also, merchandising, and there's also, branding. Like those sorts of things, USC is very strict about. you know you can't sell merchandise that has the letters USC on them.
I see.
Like
Interesting.
that would be a very big part of our income, of course, because as an esports organization, essentially, you would want to sell jerseys and headsets and mice and branded USC ESU branded items, goods, essentially, right? But you can't really do that under USC's current rules. So getting past that hump of systemic difficulties is going to be an issue that we will need to address in order to eventually get on the level of UCI.
Hmm.
And of course, with increased funding, with every successful project, we have more leverage with sponsors to get more funds. But also, every misstep can also lead to less negotiating power.
Right.
So as long as we have to keep the quality of everything we do consistent, and if we do that, which I think we are on the up and up right now, especially with all these new positions and hires that we're currently going out, I think ESU is in a good place to currently grow. And really, I feel like once we get like that institutional hurdle over
Hmm.
with USC to actually be on good terms with all of like the deans and all of upper management, then we'll be in a very, very strong position, I feel.
What do you think is like who? Okay, let me rephrase this. What is video? What are oh wow? What are video
What are
games at
games?
US? Yeah, what are games? What are video games at USC? Like, is ESU for people who love League of Legends want to watch League of Legends in the same way that a sports fanatic would watch USC football, or is it people who would want to go to events and play League of Legends in a club setting? Like, what is ESU supposed to be for?
ESU is supposed to be for it's supposed to be a hub for all gamers to share their interests in specifically the games that we have support for. And we're trying to expand that, of course. But institutionally, like our model right now is we'll support individual games that are really big. And like there's gamers that play all sorts of games, of course. And we, of course, recognize that, being part of USC games and the game school, like we're the first to know that, there's all sorts of games that you can play, not just competitive ones. Like,
Hmm.
For every Overwatch and, League of Legends, there's also, like really cool indie games like, Celeste and any like sort of indie game, or even like non-indie games that are just not competitive in general. Like there's a
Right.
ton of them,
Right.
right? So that currently, I feel like those sorts of gamers that are not part of like big the big games club, like League, Overwatch, Smash, etc.
Hmm.
Like it does seem to me that ESU is a little bit lacking in providing a home for those. But I also feel like at the moment ESU is not for that.
Right. Okay.
ESU currently is about providing a platform for its varsity teams to excel at, and it's for providing a community for the fans of those games specifically. And so eventually, I would love to see ESU become a hub for all gamers of all stripes who enjoy to play every game, and to sort of create some sort of unity of gamers on campus.
Hmm.
That might be some far off dream, maybe even farther off than the UCI level success, but that's certainly not where we're at right now. And I would say it is a shame that it's not the case, but I also understand that we can't get everyone right now. But right now, like our current base, like for the big games, I guess you would say, like it's such a large audience that you can still reach that I feel like there's still a place for almost anyone who wants to be involved
Absolutely.
in ESU.
Um, so do you think that in theory, uh, could esports be bigger than USC sports?
Well, I definitely think it could happen.
Hmm.
Like, maybe not, maybe not now.
No. Yeah.
Probably,
Okay.
probably
Yeah.
not now. Definitely not now. Um, but here's the thing: is that esports as an industry gets bigger pretty much every year, right? And even not as an industry, even like from a fan perspective or from a spectator perspective, gaming is increasingly able to reach a larger and larger audience. And people who say, like me, for instance, who just generally don't care about football, but like really like competition. Like I know so many people right now who watch basketball and aren't like timidly, like they're timid supporters of basketball, and that they watch basketball every now and then, not because they actually enjoy the sport or they're big fans of any of the teams or the brands, but because they like competition.
Right.
And I feel like as fans of video games, there's still a ton of people who are fans of competition who can find a place in esports and will eventually find a place in esports. And for that reason, in the long run, yeah, I could absolutely see esports, USC esports being like in 50 years maybe, like who knows, maybe the mid laner of USC is going to be a more household name than the
Right.
quarterback of USC. Like that's a possibility in the future. And not to say that Corona is going to be permanent or anything, but situations like Corona highlight the resilience of esports in the face of traditional sports failing, because and through no fault of their own really. Like how can they continue? All their events are in person, and they're sort of require, you know, players to be there and to interact with each other. Like, and you can't do that in a setting like this. Esports can, and esports can thrive, even if it's suboptimal. It can still thrive in variety of settings. Like the big tournament organizers for Smash, even they've been organizing a lot of online tournaments recently, and even though that's not optimal, it's still watchable and it's still playable. Versus you can't, like if I were to go right now down to like the local basketball court, like hopefully at least no one would be there because it's not safe to
Right.
be there right now. So there's a sense of resiliency, I would say, when it comes to esports that we'll see and carry on into the future.
Hmm. So on coronavirus, not to bring it up, but we're here now.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
no, it's a whole thing. Especially for esports now that people are watching Twitch like 40% more than they were before. Like Steam is breaking records, Fortnite's breaking records. Like everyone's playing video games right now.
Mm.
What do you think that means when coronavirus ends? Do you think that all stops and we all go back to real life, or will this continue?
I don't think that people are necessarily going to go back to real life.
Hmm.
I mean,
Interesting.
they will, of course, in the sense that they have to. People have to go back to their jobs and like their school, right? So, in that sense, people will still be interacting with their daily lives. But for a lot of people who are, especially who are new and picking up gaming for like the first time, for instance, like I know several people at USC who were not gamers before this incident happened, and then they messaged me saying, "Hey, like, do you know anything about League or what I should know before I get into it?" Like actually, you'd be surprised.
That's incredible. Oh my god.
Yeah. Um, but situations like that, like gaming is such a, maybe I wouldn't say addictive is the right word, but you definitely reap what you sow with gaming, and it incentivizes you to play more. And all the best games have mastered this sort of, enticing people to keep going down the hole. And not to say that it's addictive or by any means. I mean, I guess it could be addictive, but that's not the point. The
In the
point
same
is
way that
that
sports are addictive, though, I
yeah,
feel
it's
like.
it's,
Yeah.
it's the same idea. Yeah, like gaming is very good at retaining its audience once it gets there.
Hmm.
And even though I do feel like it probably will die down a little bit after Corona ends, but it'll retain a lot of its audience. Even if they play games continuously casually, they'll still stay around, I think. And that's important for the future, is that gaming will outlast as long as internet and electricity still exist.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm just curious to see if people will do a reversal. I think you're right. Though. I think you're right that people will. They're here at gaming and they're probably here to stay, just because it's so much easier. Honestly, um, nothing's changed for me. This is like my ideal life is sitting in front of the computer. Honestly, like I've been doing this for years, so this is fine. Um, but do you think that people playing these video games, this will transcend gaming in a sense? Do you think it'll bring people to Discord? It'll bring people to different forums that are more, it's gaming adjacent, but not necessarily gaming. How do you think that this affects that too?
Yeah, I feel like all, the sites that are associated but not necessarily gaming centric, like, Reddit and
Right.
Discord and Twitch, that aren't strictly for gaming, but they definitely enhance it and they go hand in hand with it. Like, you'll see those services, increase a lot, I would say. Like, I mean, Zoom, I would say, is the biggest beneficiary of this, and they're non-gaming platform, but they very easily could have been. And who's to say? And like, there's still nothing stopping people from using Discord a
Hmm.
lot when for communication. Like my math professor, for instance, I assume he must be a gamer of some kind because when he was streaming from his laptop, like we could see when he did screen share, like we could see that he had Twitch open,
Oh, nice. Okay,
and
cool.
he had said like he was gonna have office hours on Discord this week and things like that where gamers aren't everybody. Of course, not everyone is a gamer, but there's enough gamers that in a situation like Corona, where everyone has to stay inside and communicate online, those people who are not used to online communication as frequently, they'll talk to their gamer friends because I'm
Hmm.
sure they'll have a few at least, and they'll be like, "Oh, hey, yeah, yeah, just make a Discord, and then we'll." Do something like we'll video chat or we'll maybe even we'll play Jackbox. I'll stream it from my setup, or I'll teach you the basics of X, Y, or Z game that I'm really into. And that definitely happens. And I definitely think that'll continue to happen. So I think it's looking pretty bright for Discord. And whether or not they can retain that audience after it all ends, I mean, I feel like they could, um, just because online communication through like, the Discord model is just going to be very useful. And, for Reddit, for instance, like, uh, it's a very good source of content for a lot of people. And I mean, it's not gaming necessarily, like I said, but it is gaming adjacent. I feel Reddit to a large extent, and there's a lot of interesting things on there for all sorts of people. And so, for Reddit, if someone who's not a gamer finds Reddit and through their gamer friends, then they read the other non-gaming stuff on Reddit. Like, who's to say that they won't stick around afterwards, even if they do lose interest in gaming, for instance, they'll still stick around. And I feel like it's going to be a big boom for all these gaming adjacent
Hmm.
websites.
Um, I guess just to start wrapping this up because we're coming up on the hour.
Oh yeah.
But you seem you're in the gaming sphere now. You're like solidly right there. You're like pretty much peak gamer at USC at this point. I feel like. Um,
Yes,
but you
I am
said
a
you want to
gamer.
go into you are a gamer. You said you wanted to go into law or something in that nature. Would you?
Yeah.
Do you still want to stay in video games?
I would love to stay in video games, regardless of whether or not I definitely am going to law school, though. I know that for sure. But
Hmm.
as for whether I'll stay in the gaming sphere, the gaming industry, I would definitely love to. Patent law specifically, I'm not sure if you can as a non-engineer. There's some weird rule about that. I don't
Interesting.
know. I need to look into that more, so don't quote me on that. But gaming is my passion and is my livelihood for now. Um, when I do go to into the field to become a lawyer, I would love, like, my first choices would be to work at Riot or
Hmm.
at maybe some LCS's teams, in-house legal team, which
Right.
they do exist, or work with Bryce Blum, or any of the other esports attorneys. Even like that would be my ideal.
Hmm.
But if that can't happen, then I'm more than willing to be an advocate and a consumer of the medium and just continue to support it from the sidelines. Like that would be less ideal, but I would still happily do that. Uh, but I would like to make gaming as big a part of my life as possible. And Whether or not my future career choices will permit that, we'll have to wait and see. But I'm definitely for staying in gaming as long as I can, really.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And it's probably, it's only getting better.
Mm.
Um, yeah, cool. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I got. Is there anything like that you would want people to know who aren't in the gaming sphere at USC that you think they should know?
Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, according to like our estimates and Overwatch Carnival sort of indicated this, there's a lot of gamers on USC who don't interact in person with their hobby. And to those people, I would say definitely take a look, go out on a limb and just get involved in something. Like go out, talk, meet gamer friends, just get involved, try to join ESU even, or if not, go to ESU events,
Mm-hmm.
get connected with other gamers because honestly, like I know that gaming has like a reputation as like, all sheltered nerds who don't like talking to other people and don't know how to hold a regular conversation. But that's absolutely not true. And you will find a lot of people who are gamers, who are, interested in socializing, and you'll make a lot of good friends that way. And I feel that when we as a community come out together and support each other and support projects and get involved, like it makes us all stronger and it brings us closer to that dream that we have of one day, like I said, we'll be as big as UCI and the mid laner of USC will be more important than the quarterback of USC.
Right.
And that dream will happen if we all come together and go out and do things with each other. It'll happen.
Cool. All right. Fantastic. All right, I'm gonna stop the stream. So thanks, guys, for tuning in. I'll probably be doing this every Thursday now. So yeah, good stuff. Oh wait, nice. Someone, we have a question at the last second.
Oh yeah?
This is a great question. Hi, devout smasher here. Why aren't you two smashing each other? That's a great question, actual fancy.
Why am I not what?
Why are we not smashing each other?
Oh, well, Wi-Fi Smash kind of sucks, not gonna
Right.
lie, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be down.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I'm pretty terrible, but I hope they mean, in the
In the
way,
video game
yeah, in the
sense.
video game sense, of course. But
I agree.
yeah, right. This is a PG
Who's the person who said that for their username?
Actual fancy. Do you know actual fancy?
I don't know that actually.
Okay.
I don't think that's one of my players.
Well,
all right. Well, thank you for the question.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming. Is there anything else you guys want to ask now that people are here? Nug Bay sends a Tyler emote, so that's cool. The league streamer, the bald guy with the muscles.
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah. What's your favorite fruit?
Strawberries.
Strawberries. Strawberries are fruits, right? Are berries fruits?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Fruits.
Yeah. I'll answer that question too. I'm a big banana guy. I love bananas. Or peaches. I like peaches too.
Both are top tier fruits.
Yeah, S tier fruits. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta go. They're whatever you want them to be. Thank you. All right, bye bye, actual fancy. Thanks for tuning in. And Nug Bay. All right. Toodaloo.